I'm Kristina. I'm 41. I live in Wisconsin, and I've gone through a lot of trauma with trafficking, domestic violence. I had the perfect childhood till I was 11, and that's when everything hit the fan. So our neighborhood was trusting. Every house would look after each other's kids. I mean, it was really warm. I loved it. My dad, funny man, very funny. I miss them both to this day. Before I was 11, it was all good. It was a beautiful sunny day. I really wanted to go skating. It didn't rain, and I begged my mom to go outside. I kept going outside. Oh, I want to go roller skating so bad. She was like, okay, just go in front of the house. And I was like, okay, but you know me, or any kid at that age, they'd go a little further. And then there was like a patch of woods, and that's when it happened. So when she finally let me go, like when I was able to go roller skating, and I went by the woods, hey, I want to show you something real quick. Come on over here. And I'm like, oh, my mom wants me to stay in front of the house. He's like, no, come on. Come on, you've come over before. Come on over. It's his house that was next to the woods. And I'm like in my skates going towards the woods. And he said, oh, look at that over there. And then all of a sudden I get pushed to the ground. He's on top of me so fast, so heavy. I mean, he was extremely heavy. He had like brown curly hair. He was like one of those cowboy type back in like type. And I hear a click, and then the pressure on that, and he's chewing gum the whole time. Yeah, and he undid my pants, and I felt extreme pain. I'm trying to push and fight him off of me, but he says, don't you even try. All I have to do is press this trigger and you're done. So I just laid there. I went to another place and it was over. And then the next thing you know, I'm not even in the same spot where it happened. I was on the side of the road when my mom found me. I was watching from above. I was like wanting this, begging for it just to end in my mind because it hurt. It was painful. He was just done, and he was gone. We didn't even see him after that. She came looking for me because I wasn't in front of the house anymore. And she found me laying there on the ground. And I remember her telling me this. She goes, you were just laying there on the ground. My eyes were open, but I was still like, it felt like I was still at a body experience, and I was sunburned. I was naked. I don't know what happened to my clothes. I had to go to the hospital. They did a rape kit, everything, and we filed a report. I was too scared to say who it was because of the gun, but I gave them the best I could, stuttering and barely wanting to talk at 11. They did get him in the end, and then he got out again. He's an older gentleman now. I don't even know if he's still alive because I'm not looking him up, but I did hear that he was in jail after raping some women. So I'm not totally sure. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. My mom, she started drinking, and I started having a little bit of anger issues. My mom would come home with big bottles of alcohol, and she'd cheat on my dad when she was drunk. And I don't know if I think she did, so I'm not too sure. People said she did. Parties would happen. It became a broken home after that, you know. My mom would be aggressive when she was drinking. A lot of fighting. I loved my parents so much. Before they passed away, I loved them very much. I'd be alone in my room a lot too, you know, in my own little world. And then my brother started getting older, and then we became the best of friends. And you couldn't separate us, you know. Of course, he doesn't know the whole story or how it happens. He's starting to learn things now. Being too scared to tell somebody something, you know. I don't want my brother to hate me for my mom drinking, even though I think he won't. I try to act like nothing happened, that everything was back to normal. Maybe if I did that, my mom would quit drinking and we would go back to normal. That's what I was hoping for. I ended up going to my cousin and telling him. He decided to have fun too, with him and his friends. This is When I was 11, after I was raped, I told my cousin, because we were close. He was like a brother to me. He decided to have fun with me and then share me with his friends, and they would give him money every time he would pass me around to his friends. You got to do this. You got to do this for that's what happened next. I just wanted attention, really, like affection, but not from strangers. I didn't want any of that to happen. I wanted my cousin to be like, hey, that's okay, I'm sorry that happened, I'll kill, can you go after this guy for me, because he was a year older than me, even though he was 12. It happened from when I was 11 to 14, and he had powerful friends because he was a wannabe little gangbanger, and I figured if I hung out with him, I'd be safe and nobody would touch me again, but boy, was I wrong. So I told him what had happened, and he was like, oh, okay. Are you gonna come hang out and stay the night with us this weekend? And I'm like, sure, we can go camping or something. And I ended up going over to his place, and his friends came over, and they all started smoking. They got me to smoke. I got a contact buzz, and he was like, all right, you gotta hit it. That was my first time smoking. And I smoked it, and then his friends went home this time around, and then he started touching me. And I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, I guess this is normal now. Everybody has to touch me that way. It was my cousin. I wasn't scared. It was uncomfortable for me because, it's family. And after so long, I think a couple of months went by, and that's when his friends came over, and he was in bad need of and something else that he was doing. I don't know what other he was doing at the time. I never knew, but like he needed it bad, and if he didn't have it, he'd snap. But he was very sweet and affectionate with me all these times, but he was like, can you go sleep with him or like go be with him? Kind of like he sold me to his friend to get I did it because my cousin asked me to, because he was my cousin. Till I was 14 years old, my sister seen the hickeys on my neck. She came in the bathroom when I was showering and seen it, and she went to an adult, and I got the blame for it. It was my fault. Again, it was my fault. When I was 14, I tried to commit suicide. I didn't want to break the family apart, the get-togethering, nothing. So I held it in. I buried it deep down. And then I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take the pain anymore. So that's when I tried to commit suicide. I took a knife and I slit my wrist. It's so sad. This happens to so many people out there. That's why I want to help put my story out there so others can feel like they're not alone in this. I learned to love myself when I met my best friend, Renee. She's like my soul sister. She taught me confidence. She built my self-esteem up. But that was when I was in that abusive relationship, the domestic one. Yeah, I met her. So I was in so many bad abusive relationships. Like, I just wanted to feel love, worthiness. And then when I hit 18, about 16, 17, I got a job working at a Village Pizza, and this guy, it was next to a bar, and this guy was a redneck. He would drink, and he would come watch me work, and he would stalk me. And I was walking home. Basically, my brother and his friends would go, and because I told them what happened, they would go and stay there to protect me. But the boss did not like it. And then one day they weren't there. I was like, okay, it's still daylight outside. I'm going to go over to my best friend Christy's house. And she just lived right across, like just a hop skip away from where I worked. So I was going to head over there and they could meet me there. Boy, was I wrong. Because there was a field there. And it was starting to get a little darker, and that's when they showed up, and that's when I got gang raped on my 18th birthday. That's when I was pulled into the truck, and then they dumped me back there, right? They left me right there. There was a police report done. I don't even know if they went to jail or not. I don't even think they were caught, period. I didn't think the cops even took any interest because I turned really badly after that. At first it was just because of my anxiety and depression, but then I started doing other to numb myself. My future husband, I met him on Yahoo Chat. We talked for like 12 years. That's back when the internet came on and it was like the biggest thing. After my parents passed away, I was still doing drugs and I was homeless. And like we would talk on the phone and he was like, why don't you come out to Florida and I'll pay your way and we could start something. And I'm like, sure, anything's better than being homeless. Let's be adventurous. So I took that bus ticket. I had a friend drop me off, went there, and he comes and gets me, and I'm thinking, oh wow, he's really attractive. He's cute. And in the beginning it was sweet and kind and no signs. And then the first flag popped up. I was complimenting a guy who was wearing a jacket, and when that was over with, after that guy walked away, he goes, you stupid little why the did you even talk to him? I said I was complimenting him because I liked his jacket. He said he's from Texas, where I'm from. And he goes, why you thinking I was cheating on him or something? And I wasn't. That was the first red flag. And then like there were times where he would take my hand and squeeze it tight, like really, really tight. He would be aggressive that way. There was a lot of mental abuse, but I was just like, whatever. You know, I have a roof over my head. I'm in a okay, safe relationship. I loved his family. They were really nice. And then he was going to give me a cell phone because I couldn't talk to anyone. I couldn't even use the internet, check my emails unless I was at the library and he was there. He always had to be there and I had to do it through his phone. He left his phone there and went to work. His old phone. Well, a lot of that, his old history was saved on his old phone that I went through. Yes, I was one of those people that went through a phone. And mind you, I'm sober now. Like, I'm not even using anymore. You know, I went through all that. So he was cheating on me, sending out everything. And so I confronted him about it. He goes, why are you going through my phone? And da-da-da-da. I go, it's my phone. You gave it to me. Remember? You gave it to me. And he like got so mad. He like punched the wall when I was able to get that phone turned on. But once he hit that wall, that's when it started to get more prominent. And I told my sister what happened to try to reach out to get help. Please save me kind of help. She went and called him and went off on him and told him everything. He comes home threatening to hurt me. And that's when the first time he hit me. He said, you little, if you don't cut your shit right now, I'm going to kill you. And pushed himself up against me. I don't know what it was with his thing and putting his hand over my mouth. I guess to keep me from screaming because he did it later on. Because when you're in a domestic violence relationship, I guess you leave and come back. Because I did. I escaped that night through some friends. They bought me a plane ticket to get out of there. I wasn't gone long and he called me and I went back because he lied and said he had cancer. I went back. It was good for a bit and then all of a sudden I was having issues sleeping. I started getting insomnia and then my allergies were bad, so he started giving me NyQuil. He started doping me up and he needed the money. He had people come over. He goes, you know what you're gonna have to do, right? I'm like, you remember what you used to do for your cousin? You're gonna do that now. So there was a time to where this one guy was so aggressive I ended up in the hospital and I had to have surgery because he liked it from the back. That was his favorite thing. I had to have surgery. And then I met my best friend in the whole wide world. She was drinking. We were outside and then we start talking and then he had gotten a dog and I would walk her. That was the only time I was able to go outside, was to walk the dog, go get Mel. So I would go get the Mel early just to even see. And one day she's like, why do you dumb yourself down for him? And I go, I do? She goes, yeah, you dumb yourself down so much. Because when it's just me and you, you're a smart cookie. And that's when she started like, I don't know, building my confidence up, and I started loving myself. And I'm like 450 pounds, and I'm loving myself, and I ended up losing like 100 pounds. He got me to marry him. I didn't want to marry him, and he basically owned me. That little paper, he's like, I own you now. He would tell me every day, I own you now. You have to do what I say. I own you now. So that's when the trafficking, like, it got prominent. Like, as after like the first time it happened, I in my mind, me and him were not an item anymore. I was just there. I was just staying there. He had me having relations with other people to make money for odds and ends, because he had a bad addiction to Magic the Gathering cards, Yu-Gi-Oh. He would either go steal those or he would buy them for me, turning tricks for him. Whether it was male or female, but it got to the point where Renee was building up my confidence so much, I ended up talking back to him. And it almost got to the point to where it was so bad, I moved out and I moved into Renee's, and I was living on her couch. And the time that I spent with Renee, she showed me what Florida was really like and how pretty it was. And because to me, it was just a hellhole. I hated it. And then I had forgotten one thing over there, and I really wanted to get it. And I went back, and he showed up. I thought he was gone, and I stood my ground to him. He had his hand on my mouth again. My teeth were going almost straight through my lip. I knew if she didn't save me, I would be dead today. She came in. She ran, like, not even 5 minutes went by, and she came in. When she came in, I don't know if it was like he knew that she was there, and he let me go. And there was a lot of and everything, and she took me to my probation officers. I went to see my probation officer to tell him what happened. He didn't believe me. He goes, how do I know she didn't do it? I've asked for help so many times. That day I finished community service. I finished my probation. I was living with Renee. I would not go over there. He would try to come over there, and she would not let him see me. He would try to be his little nice self and leave like 5-hour energy shots, because I love those. My friends saved up money to pay for my bus ticket back home to Texas, and that's where I went. I wish I could have stayed with Renee. She told me to give the love of my life now a chance, and I wasn't going to. I was going to swear off men. I'm bisexual, and I was going to swear off men and maybe give women a try once I was all healed. But Michael happened, and that's the best thing that's ever happened to me. 10 years later, and I get excited when I see him. You know, I put him through hell because I ended up taking a little bit more pain, like overusing, and I put him through hell, but then I ended up getting help. And I'm 7 years sober today. 13 years alcohol-free, 7 years sober. It would have been 13 years, but I slipped. But that happens. I had some bad issues with my health. I was feeling really down and depressed. She happened. She saved my life too. And she introduced Josh to us, Tater Tots. And Josh is the founder of Admirewear. It's a mental health clothing company. It's more than that. It's a brand. It's a home. It's everything. And I became his ambassador, and his #1 ambassador. And I'm also his moderator when he goes on live. Seeing Mama Tot helping others and him trying to help people, I wanted to help people. So I'm out there. I'm a mental health advocate. I want to be a counselor. I want to speak at schools, whatever I need to do to help someone. I want to save as many people as I can. I know back then it wasn't my fault. Now I know I have worth. I mean more to myself than anything. I love myself. Back then, I thought it was my fault when the incident happened, and it wasn't. It wasn't even my mother's fault. It was just something that happened. And I'm a lot better now. I'm doing amazing things. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to see how far I can go, too.